गोपेशे नमः। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. And before I start class, I would like to offer my respectable obeisances to His Grace Pyari Mohan Prabhu and Her Grace Jiva Mataji and all the assembled Vaishnavas. Pancha Kalpatarobhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Prabhuji, can you share Veda Base 4th chapter?
Okay, you want to share or you asking me to share, Mataji?
You can share.
Okay. So, which verse number? Third?
No, first one, right?
Which verse number, Mataji?
4th chapter, first verse. First and second, I am going to
Okay.
teach. Like.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. Anyone would like to recite?
श्रीभगवानुवाच इमं विवस्वते योगं प्रोक्तवान् अहम् अव्ययं विवस्वान् मनवे प्राह मनुरिक्ष्वाकवे ब्रवीत्.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to recite?
Idang vivashyate yogam pruktabano aham abhayam. Can you hear me?
I can hear you,
No.
Mataji. You recited only 2 lines and 2 more lines are there.
Idang vivashyate yogam pruktabano aham abhayam. Kimanno rabe graho manurikshaku abrabrit.
Thank you, Mataji.
श्रीभगवानुवाच इमं विवस्वते योगं प्रोक्तवान् अहम् अव्ययं विवस्वान् मनवे प्राह मनुरिक्ष्वाकवे अब्रवीत्.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else would like to recite? Or synonyms. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Imam, this, Vibhasvate, unto the Sun God, Yogam, the science of one's relationship to the Supreme, Proktavan, instructed, Aham, I, Avyayam, imperishable, Vivaswan, Vivaswan, the sun god's name, Manave, unto the father of mankind, of the name Vivasvata, Vaivasvata, Praha, told, Manu, the father of mankind, Ikshvakave, unto King Ikshvaku, Abravit, said. Translation.
I'm sorry, Mataji. I'm so tired that I couldn't read it properly. I'm sorry.
Not a problem, Mataji. Translation. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivishwan, and the Vivishwan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and the Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. And then purport. Purport by His Grace, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone would like to volunteer to read the purport?
Okay. Herein we find the human history of the Bhagavad Gita raised from a remote time when it was believed to the royal order of all planets, feigning from the sun planet. The kings of all planets are specially meant for the protection of the. Just hold on a second, please. I have to go. Okay. The kings of all planets are especially meant for the protection of the inhabitants, and therefore the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad Gita in order to be able to rule the citizens and protect them from marital bondage. To last, human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge. It in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impact the lesson to the citizen by education, culture, and devotion. In other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that the people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path, utilizing the opportunity of the human form of life.
In this millennium, the sun god is known as Vivaswan, the king of the sun, which is the origin of all planets in the solar system. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Yakchakshuryesha Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurtir Ashesha Teja Yasya Yajna Brahmati Sambramata Kala Chakro Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Let me worship Lord Brahma said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person and under whose order the sun, which is the king of all planets, is assuming immense power and heat. The sun represents the eye of the Lord and traverses in its orbit in obedience to his order. The sun is the king of all planets, and the sun god at present of the name Vivasman rules the sun planet, which is controlling all other planets by supplying the heat and light. He is rotating under the order of Krishna, and Lord Krishna originally made Vivaswan his first disciple to understand the science of Bhagavad Gita. The Gita is not, therefore, a speculative treatise for the insignificant mundane scholar, but it is a standard book of knowledge coming down from time immemorial.
In the Mahabharata Santi Parva 348.51-52, we can trace out the history of Gita as follows. Treta tato vivasvan manave dadau manuscha loka britya artham sutaye khyava kave dadau ichva kuvana cha kathito vyapya lokan avastitaha. In the beginning of the millennium known as Treta Yuga, the science of the relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vivaswan to Manu. Manu, being the father of mankind, gave it to his son Maharaj Ichwaku, the king of this earth planet and forefather of the Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramachandra appeared. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita existed in human society from the time of Mahabharata Ichwaku. Anyone can, any other one can read?
In the present moment, we have just passed through 5,000 years of Kali Yuga, which lasts 432,000 years. Before this, there was Dwapara Yuga, 800,000 years, and before that, there was Treta Yuga, 1,200,000 years. Thus, some 2,005,000 years ago, Manu spoke the Bhagavad Gita to his disciple and son Maharaj Ikshvaku, the king of this planet Earth. The age of the current Manu is calculated to last some 305,300,000 years, of which 120,400,000 have passed. Accepting that before the birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vivaswan, a rough estimate is that Gita was spoken at least 120,400,000 years ago. And in human society, it has been extant for 2 million years. It was re-spoken by the Lord again to Arjuna about 5,000 years ago. That is the rough estimate of the history of the Gita. According to the Gita itself, and according to the version of the speaker, Lord Sri Krishna, it was spoken to the sun god Vivaswan because he is also a Kshatriya and is the father of all Kshatriyas who are descendants of the sun god, or the Surya Vamsha Kshatriyas. Because Bhagavad Gita is as good as the Vedas, being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this knowledge is apaurushaya, superhuman. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are, without human interpretation, the Gita, I can't see, can you move it up a little bit?
Must therefore.
Gita must therefore be accepted without mundane interpretation. The mundane wranglers may speculate on the Gita in their own ways, but that is not Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplic succession, and it is described herein that the Lord spoke to the sun god spoke to his son Manu, and Manu spoke it to his son Ikshvaku.
Thank you, Mataji. And I note down, as like always, I note down some points from Prabhupada's lecture. And then just the meaning of Bhagavan. Bha means sustainer and protector. Ga means leader and pusher or creator. And then Van means dwelling. He is shelter where people live. Supreme dwells within the heart of every living being. So, and there are two kinds of Kshatriya dynasties present. One is coming from the sun and another one is coming from the moon. Sun dynasty, anyone can give the example of who is coming from the sun's dynasty?
Lord
Ramchandra.
Ramchandra.
Thank you. And from the moon dynasty, anyone know?
Krishna, Lord.
Yeah, the Yadus.
Yadus, yes. So, sun god is a descendant or Manu and Ikshvaku also from the sun dynasty. And the Ikshvaku is forefathers of Lord Ramchandra.
Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna.
Can you?
Can everyone go on mute, please? Thank you.
Ikshvaku is a forefather of Lord Ramchandra. Kings were supposed to know the signs of God. And the Rajarshi kings were taught by great sages back olden times. You know, they were taught by really exalted saintly persons to teach them before they take over the kingdom, right? Say before they were enthroned. But these modern day politicians, I don't know what they study, and like they have no previous knowledge of this great science before they take up the leadership, right? So they do whatever they like when they take the leadership, you know. And Krishna is supreme, and then this knowledge coming from is also it is said in the translation, it is apaurusheya, right? This we should not think like it is a mundane, it is equivalent to mundane philosophy or anything like that. It is very transcendental. The knowledge coming from Krishna is absolute, and Krishna is Achyuta, like infallible. That means he never makes any mistakes. But we, human beings, we are born with conditional life. We are born with four kinds of imperfections. What are those? Is one is a tendency to commit mistakes, and another one to be illusion, and then we have a propensity to cheat others, and then our senses are imperfect. We have all these things, and so it is very hard for us to understand Krishna because Krishna is absolute and Krishna is perfect. Um, this knowledge is also perfect, and sometimes we should follow the perfect people, otherwise we will be lost. You know, there is a story. If we don't follow the perfect persons, just a story, it's about a dhobi. Back in India olden times, there used to be washermen. They will maintain a donkey, and then they collect all the wash clothes that need to be washed, and they put it on the donkey, and they take it to the river or somewhere, and then they wash it, and they bring it back to the village, and they deliver it to everyone. But one person, he had a donkey. That name of the donkey is Sarjal Singh. He put like Sarjal Singh, and then he was taking care of the donkey very nicely. And but one day the donkey died, and then he was very upset, and who will help me? And he got so upset, and he was so attached to the donkey. He thought like somebody dies in their family, they do this, they shave their head. So he did it. And so another person, he saw him, and why did you shave your head? He asked. And then he said, because Sarjal Singh died, so I have to shave. I shaved my head, he said. And then he was crying. So then that person felt, oh, I am his friend, and he is crying, and then he lost somebody. So I should also do it. And then he shaved his head. Seeing him like that, whole village, they shaved their heads, all the men. And then it went to the king, that news. And then he asked the minister, what's going on? What happened? Everyone is shaving their head. Then we don't know. Like then the king was able to trace out to the roots, and then he found out from the dhobi, everything came out like this. And he called the dhobi and then the washerman, and then asked him, why did you shave your head? He said, Sarjal Singh died, that's why I shaved my head. And who is Sarjal Singh? Then he said, it's my donkey. Then everyone is laughing at each other because for the donkey, he shaved his head, and nobody, without knowing, they blindly followed him, and then they shaved their heads. It's like that. If we follow the blind people, that's what's going to happen. But the knowledge coming from Krishna is not like that, and we have to. And another thing, that is one story. Okay. And like, why do we need this knowledge? Krishna is giving this knowledge because to understand our real identity, and then we have to our what is our the purpose of our life, and then we have to, the purpose of life is to get out of this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, and then we have to serve the Supreme Lord. That's what our purpose. And Krishna created us in the first place he is the supreme enjoyer, and he wants to enjoy a different all kinds of relationships with his devotees. That's the purpose we are created, but we are envious of him at some point, and then that's why we are put into this um, material world. So we have to re-establish we have to, through the Bhagavad Gita, this knowledge, and then we have to understand this knowledge and apply it practically, and then we have to get out of this cycle of birth and death, and then we can go back to Krishna, and then we can be with Krishna and serve Krishna in the Golok Vrindavan. That's our goal, and that is also the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. First we have to understand we are not this body, and therefore we have to hear from Krishna, the Bhagavan. He is the supreme person who can give us the perfect knowledge. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Krishna, spoken by Krishna to Arjuna, and Vyasadeva wrote the Mahabharata, the history of Greater India. And if we accept this knowledge that is given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, then we will be successful. Spiritual knowledge begins with I am not this body, aham brahmasmi, I am a spirit soul. And then there is some more things like oh, I forgot to read this. Okay. And after here, like who can understand Krishna? Krishna cannot be understood easily because of our imperfect senses. We cannot understand Krishna. How can we understand Krishna? With the help of spiritual master, we can understand Krishna. And also Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Guru and Sadhu and Shastra means this Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, this literature, Vedic knowledge. From that we can try to understand Krishna. And then we have to be in association of people who are pure devotees of Krishna, and then those who are following this Vedic knowledge. And Krishna, after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he said, Param Brahma, Parandhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajamibhum, Ahustvam Vishya Sarve, Devarshi Nardastada, Asito Devala Vyasa, Swayam Cheva Bravishime. Arjuna said, you are the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode of the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. So, so from this we can understand this Krishna is the supreme personality of God, and it is confirmed by all the rishis and those who are worshippers of Krishna, right? And then Arjuna also realized after listening to the Bhagavad Gita, then he realized Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is not ordinary. His appearance is not ordinary. His activities are not ordinary. They are all transcendental. And also, okay. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said about the spirit soul, about himself, his relation to Krishna. He said, Gopi Bhartru Padakamalayo Dasa Dasana Dasa. I am eternally servant of the maintainer of the gopis. And he also mentioned about the living entities, Jiver Swarupahai Nichera Krishnadas. We are eternal servants of Krishna, servants who have rebelled against Krishna, and we have come to the material world. To reclaim these servants, Krishna comes, like to call us back. Krishna comes every millennium after millennium. So in the whenever there is the decline of religion, he comes to establish the religious principles. So it is in the verse, it is said, Paritranaya sadhanam vinasaya ch dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So let us take advantage of this Krishna coming here. So let us understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and make our life perfect. And, okay. Yes. So this verse I completed. I would like to go to the next verse because it's only small verse and there is nothing much to explain. But if anybody have any questions, please go ahead. Okay. Prabhuji, could you share the second verse from the 4th chapter? Thank you. एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम् इमं राजर्षयो विदु सकलानेह महता योगो नष्टा परन्तपा एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम् इमं राजर्षयो विदु सकलानेह महता योगो नष्टा परन्तपा. Can you expand? Yeah.
Evam parampara praptam imam raja rashyo vidhu sakalaneha mahata yogo nashta parantapa.
Evam parampara praptam imam rajarsayo vidhu sakale neha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. Yogo nashta parantapa.
एवं परंपरा प्राप्तिम राजऋषे विदुः सकालेन इह महता योगी नष्टः परन्तप.
Thank you. Prabhuji, can you go a little bit down? Right. Okay, thank you. Evam, thus, parampara, by disciplic succession, praptam, received, imam, these signs, rajarisha, the saintly kings, vidu, understood, sa, that knowledge, kalena, in the course of time, iha, in this world, mahata, great, yoga, the science of one's relationship with the Supreme, nasta, scattered, parantapa, O Arjuna, subduer of the enemies. Translation. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Anyone would like to read the purport?
Yes, Mataji, I will read. Hare Krishna, Mataji. It is clearly stated that the god was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demoniac persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment also, there are so many editions of the Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Sri Krishna. This spirit is demonic because demons do not believe in God but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the parampara, disciplic succession system. An attempt is made here with to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to I can't say great boon to humanity, but if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculations, it is simply a waste of time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Can you guys see me, right? Can you all see me, right?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Like I am reading and I'm using the laptop, that's why it's confusing for me. I use iPad all the time. Okay. And so the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, how it has to be received, that is explained. It is not understood by so-called scholarship. In the Vedic literature, we find Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo na Medhaya na Bahuna Srutena. If you are actually interested in Atma Jnana, self-realization, then you cannot understand by your so-called academic education. No. Nayam Atma Pravachanena. Or because you are a big speaker, you can speak very nicely, decorating language, therefore you have understood. That is also not possible. The spiritual knowledge has to be understood by the grace of the Supreme Spirit. Yam Evesha Brunite Tena Labhya Katha Upanishad 1.2.23. One who is favored by the Supreme. Here Krishna, the Supreme Being God, he is explaining about himself. So you have to learn about God or Krishna from Krishna or through the parampara, as Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam. Right? And then can we understand Krishna by our limited senses? No, there is a verse that says that Ata Sri Krishna Namadi Nabhave Grayam Indriyai Sevan Mukehi Jihvado Swayam Eva Spuratada. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. Even in the material world, we are seeing the sun every day, but we do not know how big it is. Or even if we see this motor car, a child sees, he sees that It is automatically going without any horse. He is amazed. But one who can see, he knows that there is a machine, there is a brain. So this is our position. Even to understand material things, we are not perfect. Our senses are not perfect. How we can understand God? That is not possible because we have these got defects. Our senses are not perfect. um, I cannot see perfectly, I cannot smell perfectly, I cannot touch perfectly, I cannot hear perfectly. So many defects. I commit mistakes and I become illusion. I accept some things for some things. In this way, our position is very imperfect. And Krishna is Avyayam, that he is eternal, he is spiritual. Avyayam means that does not perish. Anything material, it will perish in the material world, but the spirit soul or the spiritual anything that is imperishable. And then Krishna says 18.55 Bhaktyamam abjanati yavan yasyasmi tattvataha tata tato mam tattvato gnatva vishate tad anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. The life is meant for understanding what is my relationship with God. And as we already discussed, like Athato Brahma Jignasa, and what is Brahman, what is God, what I am, and what is my relationship with God. And from the material standard, gradually we have to go upwards and come to the point of understanding Krishna. That is the Vedic knowledge. That is Vedic knowledge. Vedescha sarvai ahameva vedcha. To pursue the Vedic knowledge means to understand Krishna. And also in the previous verse also it is mentioned, like, there is one point I would like to make. In India, south part of the India, they know this Hare Krishna mantra before, but they recite it other ways. Hare Ram. They start with Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Even I try to teach my mom how to say this. She's also saying like that because they have a great idea that Ram is before Krishna. Ram is from Treta Yuga and Krishna is Dwapar Yuga. Even myself, I was under the same conclusion, but when I started reading when I came to the Krishna consciousness only, then I know that Krishna already, this is Krishna is existing before from long time, and also Krishna gave this knowledge to Vivaswan. After reading this sloka only, I came to know. Otherwise, I am under the impression also same, like, Rama is before Krishna, like that. And okay, and because Ramaraja is, back then Ramaraja is very responsible government, and even during the time of Ramchandra, if a Brahmana's son dies before the father, he will go to the king and challenge the king. What kind of king are you? That in the presence of a father, son is dying. This is the responsible government. Like that's how he is to ask. That's how saintly the king and all the people are. But if you and also as soon and in Krishna's time also, in the Dwarka city, when there is an enemy attack, immediately the king's royal family, Krishna's family, Pradyumna and his sons and others immediately go out to the city and combat with the enemies. This was the system. And people who are very carefree, they don't have any anxiety because everything is taken care by the kings. They and then that is the duty of the government, and how to keep the citizens in a safely and carefree. That you required. They needed that instructions they got from this Vedic knowledge. So and that current leaders, if we think, if there is any big problem, actually what they do, they were escorted by the very, those people who are wearing bulletproofs and all those jackets, they will follow them, and then with the security they will even go into deeper into so that they will be saved. They don't care about the people, they will be saved. That's the modern leaders, that's what they do. Completely opposite to the Krishna's time, or Ramachandra's time. That's the problem. The leaders, they don't care about the people. They care about their sense gratification and their own well-being. And there is a great need for the current leaders to understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in the present situation. So, and another thing regarding this, my son showed me a video regarding vegetarianism, and then in that it says that a lot of land was that need to be used for producing grains for the human beings to use. That lot of land is wasted to feed the cows and these chickens and these all the farm animals. To feed them, they will grow some special kind of grains separately for them, so that most of the land is wasted on those. And then they will make, they will make the animals to the farm animals to bulky, and then they eat all the grains and they become bulky, and then afterwards they cut them and eat them. The poor animals, they don't know, and then they were taken to the slaughterhouse. And in one way they are doing the animal slaughter, that is one sinful activity. And another one, that land is cannot be used for future, it's becoming barren later, we cannot use it for other purposes. So it is they are, in both ways they are destroying the planet. And here in the by the Kala, in the sloka, it is said that because it is lost with time, like by it is lost because of the entrance of the Kali Yuga, the disciplic succession was broken. And then but Krishna, every millennium he comes, and Krishna came in Dwapar Yuga 5,000 years ago, and then to re-establish whatever Krishna told, and to explain the science of God. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as a covered incarnation in Kali Yuga, and then he preached this Nama Sankirtana and then Nama Avatar. So we can take shelter of holy name. So that will save us from this Kali Yuga, the problems of Kali Yuga. And some speculator people, they cannot understand Krishna, and then they keep speculating whatever they would like. There is no basis for their speculation. And then there is a small story, like in this connection, it's like a Dr. Frog. It is a frog living in the 3 feet well, and it is speculating how big is the Atlantic Ocean, because it is living in a small well, and how it can estimate the how big is the Atlantic Ocean. But one of its friend, another frog, it went to the Atlantic Ocean, it saw, and then it came back to the well, and then it is saying, "Hey, Dr. Frog, I saw the Atlantic Ocean." And then the Dr. Frog said, "How big is it?" And it is 3 feet big, 4 feet big. It is asking like that. Then that is, "No, Dr. Frog, it is too even big. It is expanding." And then Dr. Frog, this big, and then, but it cannot figure out, because that is the ocean is very huge. And then there is no way that Dr. Frog can understand how big is the ocean. Like that, they try to understand Krishna in different ways, but it is not proper way. The way to understand Krishna is through devotees. Unless you become a devotee, you cannot understand Krishna. And Arjuna is the right person to receive the knowledge from Krishna. And regarding this, Prabhupada always mentions that this the former president Radhakrishnan, he wrote translation on the Bhagavad Gita, and then he in the that verse called 9.34, it is Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyadi mam namaskuru mame vasyash yuktaivam atmanam matparayanam So in this, our translation goes like this: engage in your mind in always thinking of me and become my devotee, offer obeisances unto me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. And I I happened to look in the internet and then I found this Radha Krishnan's version. And in the starting, he's okay, like, on me fix thy mind, to me be devoted, worship me, severe me, thus having disciplined thyself with me, as thy goal to me shall thou come. And it is not the personal Krishna to whom we have to give ourselves up utterly, but to the unborn, beginningless, eternal who speaks through Krishna. And this is the atheistic mentality. They are envious of Krishna. These kind of people. It is very clearly stated in the verse, like Krishna is asking us to surrender to him, and then he says that to surrender to the unborn, beginningless, eternal who speaks through Krishna. What is that? It is not at all making any sense. And I started writing the remaining, and then I thought, like, why I'm writing this? This is enough. So like, if you by mistake, if you try to read these kind of books, and then we get diverted, because we will think like, and also you will come to me, they will say. Then you no you will not, you will come to me, they will say. You will become me, like, we will become Krishna. Like, how silly is that? Krishna is so much higher than us, and how can we become Krishna? We are part and parcels of Krishna, but we are very minute when compared with Krishna. And we should not encourage these kind of peoples. And we have this Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we should not read the other people's translations and other. We don't need other Bhagavad Gita, because this Bhagavad Gita as it is coming from the disciplic succession, which was given in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada wrote. And and we have to take the Prabhupada without any addition or subtraction. We have to understand it properly. And if we don't understand, we have to approach a spiritual master, and not with a challenging attitude. We have to ask. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tadviti pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshana. We have to approach a tattvadarshi spiritual master and render service to him, and then ask, like, whatever we don't understand, ask politely and in a humble way. Then they will explain. Then you will get the knowledge will be revealed through the spiritual master. And also Krishna as a super soul, also he guides us within their heart to understand this knowledge. So just if we follow the shastras and follow the rules and regulations given in the shastras, and we will be saved. We don't need anything else. No other speculations are needed, right? If anybody has any questions.
I have a comment, Yugadharma.
Yes, Mataji.
So you were saying that current day politicians are into sense gratification,
Yes.
I was just going to say that then not only are they into sense gratification, they exploit the citizens by getting
Yes.
campaign money and things like that, and use their money for their own personal use, So not only are they into sense gratification, they're into harming the citizens also, and just exploiting them and taking things from them.
Yes, Mataji. Like, some of the words are very strong, and I didn't dare to talk about that. It's they are called demons, not the leaders or anything. They are not at all
Right.
the level of Kshatriya level, right? They are
Yeah,
just
they do
demons.
not have the chivalrous attitude of the Kshatriyas at all. So instead of protection, they're exploiters.
If something comes, they will be escorted nicely and they will go into the safer place and then leave all the citizens. That's what we
Right,
see in all the
right,
movies
exactly.
anywhere.
Mataji, about that mantra being reversed, I had heard from a couple of lectures, one from Srila Prabhupada, that because according to during the Kali Yuga, they said that Shudra should not be chanting Vedic mantras, and it is from the Kali Santarna Upanishad, it's a Vedic mantra. And so only God can make that adjustment, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God himself. So they said in Kali Yuga, everybody is born a Shudra. Even those who are born in Brahmin families are really Shudras. They don't have Brahminical qualities. So nobody is really qualified to say the mantra. But because it's the Yuga Dharma and the Lord himself comes to, start the Sankirtana movement, he reversed it and he put Hare Krishna first and Rama first, and only Lord can do it. But when you actually chant in sequence, it makes no difference, because the next mantra, Rama, comes before. If you keep on doing it in sequence, it's like when Valmiki, when he was a hunter, he couldn't say Ram. And so then Narada Muni says, say Mara, 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 like Mara. When you say Mara, when you reverse it, then it becomes Rama. After a few Maras, it becomes Rama. Mara, 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 Rama, Rama, then it becomes Rama. So that way you put the Hare Krishna first and then you put the Rama. So it's the same thing. It's the same mantra. And only God can make that adjustment. And because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God himself, he made that adjustment. And that's why we say the Hare Krishna mantra first. And then we say the Rama, the second part. So that's what I had read and also heard in one lecture. So I thought I'll just give a little bit of clarification on that.
Yes, Mataji, thank you for sharing.
And also about the king getting, the story comes to mind of Yamunacharya, when Yamunacharya's guru is insulted. There is this one in the Pandya king, there's this Pandit called Kolahala, and he likes to defeat everybody and debate everybody and defeat and take taxes from them. And then he becomes so demoniac and becomes such a tyrant. And so Yamunacharya is a young brahmachari boy, and they come to, arrest his Guru Maharaj, and his Guru Maharaj was not in the ashram, and he says, I will go and debate him, And then he goes to the king's court, and the queen and the king have a wager. The queen was so attracted to this little Brahmin boy. She says, he's like Vaman Dev, I think he's going to win. And the king says, if he wins, I will give half my kingdom. That's how Yamunacharya became a king, And then he gives 3 questions to Kolahala, and Kolahala asks him many grammatical questions, and he answers everything. Then he says, you're asking me then he says, I will ask you some questions. Now it is my turn to ask. And he'll give 3 questions, and he'll say, you have to prove that those statements are wrong. And so he says, the first statement he says is, the queen, what does he say? I forget. The queen is, no, you are not an only child of your parents, and he is the only son. He's the only child of his mother. This Kolahala is the only son of his mother. So he says, you're not the only son. So how can he prove it? He is the only son. So he says, and the second question he asks is that the queen is not, the queen is virtuous. So he has to prove the opposite, that the queen is not virtuous. And the third is that the king, the king is not the same thing. He has to prove that the king is very virtuous, he says. So he has to prove the opposite. And he says, how can he prove those statements? He can't, because he'll be put to death if he insults the king and the queen. So he says, you can't just ask the question. Now you have to prove your own statements, So he says, according to Manu Samhita, if a person is the only child, he's as good as being a barren. Oh, his mother is a barren woman. That's what he had to prove. But he's already born, so how can he prove? Then he said, according to Manu Samhita, if you have an only child, you're as good as a barren woman. So he proved that statement. And the second statement is that the queen is not virtuous, and so he has to prove that the queen is not virtuous. And he said again, according to Manu Samhita, all the demigods reside in the king's body. So even though she's married to the king, she's also cohabiting with all the demigods, because according to Shastra, the demigods reside in her husband's body. So that way he proved that statement also, And the third one, that's what's relevant to this topic, that the king is virtuous. You have to say the king is not virtuous. In Kali Yuga, the king is supposed to get 1/6 of the papa of the citizens, and also 1/6 of the punya. In the previous yugas, when everybody was virtuous, the king got all the punya of the citizens. But now, because the Kali Yuga, everybody is doing sinful activities, the king has to take 1/6 of entire citizens' bad activities. So then, of course, he's getting bad karma, So that way he proved that statement too. So then he gives Yamunacharya half his kingdom, and that's how Yamunacharya becomes a king. So the moral is that in Kali Yuga, whoever is politicians, they're going to hell, because of course they're not like the ancient kings where they really took care of their citizens. But if you have to take the bad. So being a leader is dangerous in Kali Yuga, because you're getting the bad karma of the citizens just as much as you're getting good karma of the citizens in the previous yugas, So that's the little bit of side story.
This president, he knows that Krishna is famous, and he knows that Bhagavad Gita is a very famous book from ancient times. He made it his version of Bhagavad Gita, and why that it's completely demoniac to Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's committing a mistake against
and that's why they said in his old age he had a brain, he was actually became a vegetable. He lost his mental, he became kind of brain dead. So even though he was a president, he was making such offense against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And like you said, they're very envious, and they just write something out of enviousness. They don't want to acknowledge.
And he took the Krishna's name as tool. He used the Bhagavad Gita to popularize for himself. His whatever philosophy he had. Without
it is very atheistic to make all these unnatural comments and false statements.
Okay, and what is the time? Okay. I think if nobody has questions, maybe we can end this call. Right? We'll offer prayers to all the assembled Vaishnavas.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Yugadharma Mataji ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.